Good morning, guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm exhausted. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays, guys. I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. And for my family that always join me, you know I absolutely love you. I'm so grateful for you. And for those of you, if it's your first time tuning in today, I want to welcome you so much to Sing. Shonda Inspires Nations to Grow. And you'll often hear me refer to my family as my VSPs, my vibrational singing people. So I'm so glad that you guys decided to tap in, to tune in, and turn it on today for Wisdom Wednesdays. I hope you guys have been able to take care of your emotions, to be mindful of what you're believing, and your manifesting is going absolutely phenomenal. Of course, I want to bring some wisdom to you each week. I want to make sure that you stay within alignment with God, in alignment with creation, and in alignment to get everything that you're desiring and creating for yourself. And so I want to talk about exposure today. I want to talk about touch today. So often, so many times, we allow people into our lives to have exposure to us, to touch us. And somehow, some way, it always changes us. Either way, it's going to change us for the good or change us for not the good, the worse. And so I want to just tap in today, just to enlighten you today, to remind you that when it comes to you, you should be very particular of who you allow to have exposure to you, to your life, to your vibration, and to anything that's attached to you. You know why? Because you're absolutely phenomenal. You're precious, you're a seed, and you deserve the absolute best, even when it comes to who touches you. When I think about touch, sometimes I get, excited when I think about it, because I always refer to my children. They're always wanting a hug, particularly, my youngest, my son. He's, Mom, I want a hug. And I take advantage of that because I know that's not going to last too long because, he's getting older. Eventually, he ain't going to want to touch me, period. But I pay attention to what my spirit feels like when I have an encounter. Even with my children, it's like a give and take. It feeds my spirit. It most definitely does make me very, very happy when I have encounters. And I've had encounters with people that are not even related to me, but the touch, the impact that they left on my life, the smear that they left on my life, it just totally changed me for the absolute best. And I'm so grateful for those encounters and to allow those people in my life to touch my life. But how many of you know we've also had people that we've allowed into our lives to touch our life, and it wasn't such an impactful type of touch. It kind of left a sting, a sensation. It left disappointment. It left hurt. But in any event, there's always a lesson to learn. So I wanted to talk about touch today because sometimes some of us can't bounce back from the wrong touch. We can't bounce back. We can't seem to get ourselves back together. We can't seem to get the victory anymore. We can't seem to get in alignment with God and with Source and get ahead. We find ourselves just stuck right there because the question is, or the message today is, my spirit has changed. Who touched me? Something has changed. Who touched me? So when I began to study for this message today, of course, I thought about 3 types of scenarios because I want to make sure that I cover all bases when it comes to touch, okay? So I want to talk about what we call like a blessed touch, and I want to talk about a depleting touch, but I also want to talk about a deceitful touch. So let's just talk about blessed. Normally when we think about the word blessed, we think about, to be made holy, endowed, a divine favor and protection, just favored and fortunate, privileged, bringing pleasure or relief to someone or something. And then when it's you're willing to touch someone's life, to impact their life, to do good. You're just in alignment. You have a good spirit. You're just linked up with God. You're just an overall good person. So you're excited. You're eager to bless someone, to give. Then, that's an example of a blessed touch. And then, when I think about a blessed touch, it leads me to the scripture, Matthew 8:3. When Jesus stretched out his hand, he willingly did it. And he touched the man and said, I'm willing, be cleansed. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. See, whenever God touches you, or when the Spirit of God is in someone, they're in alignment with God, you always know, because they leave an impact on your life. It's always something good to improve your life, to develop your life, to inspire you, to endow you. That's how you know when you've been encountered with a godly person. You get that, what we call that blessed touch. And then we have a touch that's like deceitful, like a deceitful touch. And when I think about that, I think about the word deceit. And if we were to milk deceitful, it's just guilt of, involving deceit, misleading, dishonest, untruthful, false, mendacious, crafty, crooked, two-faced, calculating, treacherous. That's what I think about when I think about a deceitful touch. And so when I thought about that, it just led me to scripture, John 13:19 through 21. Jesus knew who would betray him. He was troubled in his spirit and testified about it. How many of you know that when you have an encounter with a deceitful person, sometimes you'll know. God will give you a discernment about that person, and you know that they don't mean you any good, but you let them into your life anyway. You let them in anyway, and it's not going to end the way that you want it to, because God already showed some of us the character of people, but we want to do what we want to do. And then some of us, we just don't know. So that's why I'm here to let you know, to tell you. And so that was one example of a deceitful touch. And then the other example that I found in scripture was Luke 22:47 through 48. While he was still speaking, a crowd came up, and the man who was called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. And he approached Jesus to kiss him. And Jesus asked him, Judas, are you betraying the Son of Man with a kiss? How many, a touch can come in the form of different things. It can come in the form of a kiss, a shrug on the shoulder, a pat on the back, or just somebody giving you a high five. But if it's deceitful, you'll feel it in your spirit. It will be a quickening. It will be out of a vibration that's low. You'll be out of alignment. Something ain't right with them. I don't know what it is, but it's just something. And then sometimes you just deceive. You have no idea until you're into a situation and you've allowed exposure, allowed a person to have exposure to your life, and they come in and they ramshack your life. And that's why I say you have to be very mindful of who you allow in to touch you. And then the last touch I want to talk about is the depleted touch. To deplete something is to use it completely up. Use up its resources, to exhaust someone, to consume someone, to empty, to diminish them. And it led me to this scripture, Mark 5:30. Immediately, Jesus, perceiving in himself that power proceeded from him and had gone forth, he turned around in the crowd and said, who touched my garment? Who touched my garment? Who touched me? In particular situations like that, sometimes people don't mean any harm when they touch you. They just want to learn from you. And you just give so much of yourself, especially for leaders. You give so much of yourself. We give so much of ourselves to our job, to our community, to our children, to mentors. We just give so much to everybody, and we're just depleted. But it's also interesting. It's so profound that when you are touched by the wrong person, whether it be good or bad, it still takes something out of you. Some of us have gotten into relationships where we have been totally depleted. We have not been able to bounce back, and we ain't been the same since. And it's almost like we can't get our stride back. But I'm here to let you know today that you can get your stride back. You can make a choice. Like we talked about belief. If you believe it, you can get out of the rut that you're in, and you can get your life together. If you're being depleted because you're doing good works, that's awesome. Just take some time out to get a little balance in your life. That's all. I'm just here to say, like with Jesus, that was a depleting touch. It was a good thing, but he realized that something went out of him. And the reason why I picked that scripture is because a lot of times we're tired and we don't pay attention to what's going on around us. Jesus was so in tune with himself. He was so in tune with himself. And I'm just here to be just a whisper to let you know, be in tune with yourself. To that, that was not a bad touch. That was actually a good touch, but it's still something left out of him. A lot of you are doing good things, but you're depleting yourself because you don't take the time to relax and to rest. And some of you just, it's not your fault, have been just bamboozled and allowed folks in to touch you and to take from you. And when I thought about this, I'm like, I think about young people, my high school students, my college students, young adults, and, us too, as mature people. But, I think about it and I'm like, it's 3 different type of people too that you will encounter sometimes in your walk here on this earth. You're going to get some truthful people, those that want to bring out the absolute best in you. They want to see you succeed. They want to enrich your life. They're going to just keep it real with you, but they got your back. They're your ride or die. And then you have those deceitful people that want to gain exposure to you for their own selfish desires. They don't really care about you. They just want exposure to your life, like a wolf in sheep clothing that the enemy has placed there, like the tares that we talked about last week. And sometimes we allow that in ourselves. Sometimes God plants that there for lessons, and sometimes the enemy just plants folks in there. But it will always work for your good. And then I think about takers, people that are just in your life, they're deceitful too, but they just want to take from you. They don't want to give anything to you. They want to take your energy, take your time. They want to take your resources. Hey, and if you don't watch them, they will take your ideas and use them as their own ideas. They will take your money, even your image, and put it on from a spiritual perspective and walk around in your energy like it's theirs. But you have the power to take everything back that the enemy has stole from you. You have the power to take it back. You have the power to call those things into your life, get yourself back in alignment and say, you know what? I'm glad that I have experienced to have all these touches. I've experienced them all. Every last one that I've talked to you guys about, I've experienced them all. But I'm here to let you know that the enemy most definitely is changing his game up a little bit, because there is an enemy energy out there to distract you, to destroy you, to utterly take you completely out. He's more crafty than ever, and he is calling up an army. But how many of you know that God is all-knowing? He's omnipotent. He's omnipresent. He's mighty, and he's more powerful than anyone. And God has also been very strategic in his angle, and he's calling people out, an army out of people that are different, that are peculiar, that are not the same, that are not boxed in a religion, people that you wouldn't even think that's working behind the scenes for him. And he's calling up a unique army to grab things and to put them back where they belong. People that are going to touch the lives of millennials, people that are going to touch the lives of people who have given up because religious people have let them down. People like me, that's totally different, that goes against the grain but stay within compliance of holiness, that stays within compliance with vibration, and here to open your eyes and not pull the wool over your eyes. Not pull the wool over your eyes. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where your spirit has been altered, where you're out of vibration, and you look around and you wonder, I'm different. Who touched me? I'm here to let you know, guard up. I tell my girls all the time, guard up. Be mindful, pay attention, examine people, because everybody is not worthy of your touch. Take care, guys. Mwah. I love you, and have a great week. Bye now.